Are you at liberty to give out the names of some of the black sheep billionaires? You mentioned something like about the Mars family. Is it spelled M-A-R-S? Tell us about that.
Well, the Mars family is not one of the black sheep billionaires. The black sheep billionaires, for obvious reasons, don't want to be well known by the Gateses and Buffetts of the world. And I'm waiting to see what happens. I'm only indirectly being told about them. I don't have any direct connection. What I do believe, though, is that there are a lot of really smart people. In fact, I just wrote an invited op-ed for The Guardian, and I want to outline 4 big pots of money that I see coming down the pike. The United Nations just got a commitment for $2.3 billion for 17 sustainable development goals, and they're thinking about how to manage that money so that they don't do what they usually do, which is waste 80% of it on overhead. And I hope that I will have a small role to play in helping them create an intelligence activity that is completely open, that will help move the money directly to villages through electronic bank accounts and completely bypass the corrupt NGO infrastructures that tend to go for salaries and Learjets and all this other stuff. The second pot of money is the billionaires that I'm talking about, the black sheep billionaires. They're getting tired of giving money out to 1,400. Michael Bloomberg, for example, who is not a black sheep billionaire, has given out over $500 million to over 1,400 non-governmental organizations. What this means is he's giving out tokens. He's not doing serious sustainable work. But if we can get everybody to focus on an umbrella organization with a strategy and get all of these people to work together and to share information, then there's some real possibilities. The third big pot of money comes from CEOs. They were recently polled by Oxford University, and they're all realizing that the companies they are managing are dinosaurs that are about to die on a tar pit. And they're all looking for ways to redirect capitalism so that it's actually sustainable. And Paul Hawkins and Herman Daly would call this cradle to grave green capitalism. And the last pot of money is the U.S. government. I have gotten OMB to agree twice to an open source agency. And if Obama wants my help in saving what's left of his administration, to include saving the Senate, I know how to do that. And I do that with an open source agency announced before the election and with electoral reform also announced before the election.
And Robert, I mean, thanks for the call, by the way. We've had comments recently from top US ambassadors regarding Russia. Of course, the situation with Ukraine escalated over the past 6 months or so, saying that Russia has been ostracized from, quote, the New World Order. Do you see the BRICS nations, who are emerging financially, of course, and with their recent energy infrastructure projects, as a genuine alternative to the unipolar system that currently rules the world? Or do you see that as not being particularly relevant to this general open source revolution?
On the contrary, the BRICS are the alternative. And then there's a third and a fourth alternative. The City of London and Wall Street gave it up. I am absolutely stunned at the Libor scandal and the manner in which Goldman Sachs has been allowed to destroy multiple economies, including the U.S. economy, with absolutely no consequences for anybody of note at the highest levels. The BRICS are creating their own internet, their own World Bank, their own International Development Organization. The BRICS are smarter, wealthier, and tougher than we are. But that's not something Washington wants to hear. They're in denial. Now, let me also point out that Russia is about to make huge strides in the Arctic. It has long been announced by Russia that they were playing the long game and that the Arctic was their financial reserve. And there's some headlines out today and yesterday that essentially say that the Russians have broken through to a major new oil field. I anticipate the Arctic becoming a major transportation hub across the North Pole that will be owned by the Russians, not by the Americans. The open ice is along the Russian border, not the Canadian border. So for me, if I were advising the Strategic Command or anybody with a brain in Washington, D.C., I would say get a grip on the truth. The truth at any cost lowers all other costs. And right now, Washington is living a catastrophic lie.
And we've recently seen comments from Chinese PLA officials regarding the West. Do you see the West as initiating violence against the BRICS countries, whether that be over Ukraine or any situation in Asia geopolitically, as a means of curtailing their growing influence?
Well, you know, I for 15 years, I was a circuit rider for the U.S. Special Operations Command, and I love special operations dearly. But I have to say, special operations in its pure form is white. It is pure. It is good. Special operations has been severely corrupted by the move toward black assassination killer operations. And I'm very distressed by what I see as a corrupt special operations in which we're taking kids right out of boot camp, we're sending them into the field, and we're doing indiscriminate killing. What the Americans don't seem to understand is that everybody else is at least as smart, if not smarter than they are. Yes, we are going to be sponsoring rendition and torture and drone assassinations and all manner of things, but we'll be back. We'll pick that up after the break. Robert, David Steele, more of your calls coming up. Infowars.com. Stay tuned.
This hour brought to you by InfidelBodyArmor.com. When it hits the fan, don't be left without the body armor that will save your life. With prices starting at just $374.99 and ships free. Get yours at InfidelBodyArmor.com. Just won't quit.
Hi, Ted Anderson with Midas Resources. Is it time to convert paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver yet? Get our 10 Reasons book free. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139.
I love a dark house. Inside is all the stuff you work so hard for, and I'm gonna rob you blind.
Don't be the next victim of a break-in. Go to FakeTV.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone is inside watching TV and makes your home unappealing to would-be thieves.
Don't these people ever leave?
Starting at $24.95, and there's free shipping. Go to FakeTV.com or ask for it at your local hardware store. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
My Magic Mud is a tooth whitening powder that removes plaque and detoxifies your mouth. It's safe for your enamel, giving you a beautiful polish and a dentist-like clean after every use. My Magic Mud is also the perfect remedy for pain caused by sensitivity. It strengthens your teeth and gums for a strong, healthy smile. The ingredients are 100% natural and it's safe for children. Simply brush with My Magic Mud right before bedtime for a cleaning you can count on. Visit mymagicmud.com.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
It's the Alex Jones Show Live. We're talking to Robert, David Steele. More of your calls coming up in a moment. But with all the health threats facing us today, it's never been more important to keep and maintain a healthy immune system, which is why one of the most popular products on InfoWarsLife.com is DNA Force. You know your cells are under daily attack, and DNA is the blueprint of your very humanity. DNA Force is the most amazing product from InfoWars Life Formuline, and it's extremely difficult to produce and cultivate using the highest quality FDA-based nutraceutical manufacturing processes. This exclusive formula, loaded with the only US-sourced PQQ on the market, BioPQQ, is backed by 175 published clinical studies and contains more potent antioxidant activity than vitamin C. Give your body the force field it needs and fight back. Optimize your powerhouse cells and secure your DNA force today. And you can get that, as you see up on the screen there, at InfoWarsLife.com. We're talking to Robert David Steele, former CIA case officer and author of the Open Source Manifesto. Spyro in Washington, you're on the air with Robert David Steele. Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick point about the Judge Jenkins and two quick questions. I saw a Breitbart article that said something about CPS investigation to the judge over exposing his daughter potentially to Ebola. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. And then the quick questions I have is, Mr. Steele, do you believe that, or do you know that Obama might be our last president? It's something that worries me greatly, whether our country will make it or not. And then I also wanted to ask about the depletion of the U.S. nuclear arms. And meanwhile, other countries like Russia are ramping up massively while they're skirting our coasts with their bombers and whatnot.
Well, we have not had a real president since John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I've reviewed a number of books on the Kennedy assassination. We now know that he was killed by a team that included Rabin from Israel, George Bush Sr. in Dallas, J. Edgar Hoover, the Cuban mafia based in New Orleans, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and every president since then has been essentially informed upon being entered into office that they will either do what they're told or they will be assassinated. I'm told that Jimmy Carter cried his eyes out when he understood the reality here. So be under no illusions about Obama actually being president. Now, having said that, I have enormous faith in the average American and in the goodness of the American people. And I believe we're coming up to a perfect storm. And out of this perfect storm, I don't think it's possible to suborn the American people. I think the only possible outcome of any perfect storm is new growth, a resurrection, a second American republic. On nuclear, I don't really know much about that other than to say that, in my view, nuclear is not going to be used by anybody. There are so many other ways to decapitate this country, to include C4I. I mean, the dirty little secret of NSA is that the Chinese have been writing the electrical circuits into their computers for 10 years. So NSA is a joke. It's a lie. It just got too much power because nobody understood just how idiotic NSA is. So on balance, please, let me just go on the record. I am an optimist about the next 10 years in America.
Okay, thanks for the call. That's going to wrap it up with Robert David Steele. The website is phi-beta-iota.net, author of the Open Source Manifesto. There you see the public intelligence blog. Great articles on there. Be sure to check that out. Robert David Steele, thanks for joining us on The Alex Jones Show today.
Always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you. David Knight's going to be back in studio along with Anthony Gucciardi. We're going to take more of your calls on Ebola. Of course, all the breaking news on Infowars.com. We're also going to get into some police state news with the cops treating possession of cash as a criminal offense in and of itself. We're going to get to that and more. It's the Alex Jones Show Live, Infowars.com.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.